Well, it's afternoon and I see they're coming back. They'll be home any moment now. Looks like they're going to be walking back from the rice factory. We have some movement. Tissue leading. Accompanied by Risky, her son, followed by Sylvie, her daughter. Daphne down there, on the right. Grandson.
Iya kan, ati yakin maribom, ribom video na ribom. Ang baik sila.
Apart from that, we have Samina, sister-in-law Yaya, Jabada here, Dado, Sylvie carrying on. Behind here on there, and now he's bringing the truck here after all, or is this a different truck? No, this is a different truck. This is not Azra's truck. Somebody delivering cabinetry here. Don't know what that's about. It's already Sunday. I didn't actually take any video yesterday, Saturday. Nothing much happening. Not much happening today either, other than I really need to go over and do a maintenance run on the genset, because that doesn't seem to be happening automatically anymore. It looks like we have just about every paddy planted up now, and what's not is being worked on currently over in the distance. So another crop before long, I guess. You can just about see it leaping out of the ground. Well, we look to have had a few customers in the glue trap. There's a few lizards in there, and looks like a rat might have got in the entry and then escaped. Starting the maintenance run's easy enough. So these light up, and I'll make a note of the time. 13:15. Okay, I'll give it probably 20 minutes, then shut it down. If it's not one thing, it's another. So I fire up the PC over here. It thinks it's working. No cable connected. This thing's got 3 inputs. I tried all 3 inputs and it says no cable connected. So either it's a dud cable or the graphics card in there is not outputting, which is not unheard of. It is showing a power light on the graphics card, so that's not the problem. I'll try reseating it, and there we go. Just corrosion of the contacts on the graphics card, would you believe? Corrosion around here. Well, I've done my maintenance run. I'll fiddle with the PC for a few minutes, and yeah, it's not hugely hot at the moment, but I think I'll still go back to the lounge room where it's more comfortable. As far as I'm aware, today is the last day of the post-Ramadan holidays, so our workers will be back tomorrow, I expect. Schools go back tomorrow, so something more to report on tomorrow, I guess. And my timing coming back was pretty good. You can hear the rain just starting to come down. Well, back to the lounge room. It's Tuesday and Jabida hasn't organised the other workers to come back yet. She's managing her cash flow at the moment. But we do have the AC guys here for the regular 3 monthly cleanup. And this door lock's turned off because the control outside is deteriorated to the point where you power this thing up and a few minutes later the alarms go off. But did receive notification today from post office that if we submit 397,927 repair into the post office to pay for the import charges, they'll release the package which has got the new fingerprint sensor controller in it. Hopefully, having paid those import charges yesterday, the replacement for this unit will make it here from Jakarta before the end of the week. Then I've just got to figure out how to replace it with least effort. And it really does need replacing. At the moment it's turned off because when we turn it on, a couple of minutes later the alarms go off. So, no, not usable currently. It's Thursday morning and this thing shut down again overnight. We found out the problem was that the input voltage from the shed was 0, hence no imports. So then I had to go and hunt down why that was so. So I came over to the switchboard in the shed. Now this breaker here is labelled house. That originally was connected to phase 1, but phase 1 is the master unit over there at the far end of the shed. I thought, well, rather than put all the load through the master unit, because that was running at 5 kilowatts often enough, I'd swap phases 1 and 3. So house was then running off phase 3. So what I did was I took the cover off this and then I checked the voltage between neutral rail and the output of this breaker, and it said 3.54. That's a hell of a lot less than the 220 to 240 one would normally expect. So I then checked the output of phase 3 and it said, yep, same. Checked the output of phase 2 and it said 235. So I thought, right, okay, switch this off, and I swapped over 2 and 3 and switched that back on again, and we then had 230 odd volts going to the house. So at that point the house system woke up and all was well. So now what I need to do is go through here and figure out why the input here was so much lower than it should be at that terminal. So the first thing to do is to tighten that down as much as possible, because maybe it's just corrosion on that wire that's in there. Ignore it being an earth type coloured wire, because that's what they did to replace my red wire. I've got a 4-core cable running from the other end. So what they did was they used the 4 cores into this. I would have liked to have had a 5-core cable, but it wasn't available. So I had used the 4 cores so that we had neutral, 2 phases, and the earth over to here, and I'd run a separate red cable for the 3rd phase. But when the guys came to install this system, they changed that round. Oh, okay, I'll live with it as long as I'm aware. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tighten this down, but that is live. Doesn't matter if I turn this on or off, because that's input. So what I've got to do is go to that grey box at the left hand end over there and open that up, and there's another one of these in here which I will turn off, come back here, tighten this up, go back, turn that on, and come back and check the voltage. And if that hasn't fixed it, I've got to go and do the same at that end. So there it is. I'll turn that one off. Well, it's telling me I'm getting about 6 volts on phase 3 at this end, and the same at the output of this switch at this end. So what that means now is turning this guy off. So I've got no input to here, which I'll check with the multimeter before taking this cover off and looking at the input side of that. Well, tightening up those on top of here didn't do any good, so now what I'm going to do is endeavour to tighten up everything else I can find in here. If that doesn't help, I'm going to be asking Thomas for suggestions. Well, I've tightened down everything I can in here, and we've still got about 6 volts output on phase 3. Thomas, help! Okay, what I want to do now is check the voltage between there and there. And as you can see, it's varying between 4 and 6 volts. That ain't right. Whereas if I go to phase 2, 235, 234, solid. So we're good. So the problem lies somewhere between here and that third unit on the end there, which is phase 3. And all the way back there, that's outside my domain. I'm not poking around in there, I can tell you. It could get expensive if I made a mistake. Or fatal, like the other. Yeah, so I'm going to now pass this over to the experts. And it looks like we had a customer in the glue trap who actually managed to struggle out of it, but it was so sticky they stuck to the ground outside the glue trap. So, dead rat or mouse or whatever it is. Probably have to get that cleaned up before it starts to stick. Okay, so I've got the cover back on this, and I've turned off this one here because that only goes to the gazebo. No points feeding 6 or 8 volts to that. My new access control unit for the sliding door at the back here came last night at about 5 o'clock. And I was thinking, okay, well, I'm going to have to take the cover off this and figure out the wiring, and hopefully there was a terminal block back there that I could just disconnect everything from. But digging further in here, it's there's actually a plug in the back of that access control unit. So I'm hoping that there's enough extra length of wire on this that I can dismount this, undo the plug, put the other one there and push the plug into it. But I don't know, because if we look at this wire, there's not a lot of extra length. So I must have joined something on the end. So that's a fairly thick wall there. So if I try and draw that through, there must be joiners on there already. So hopefully I've got enough extra length here. But what I'll do is I'll dismount that one and see how far it comes away from the wall. Maybe enough to make this easy. Otherwise, yes, it's going through here and not out that way. So I'll see how I go. And there's your answer. That's how much I've got to work with. I may be able to make this work. I shall have an attempt and report back. Well, unfortunately it's not going to be that easy. The new unit on the right has got a larger plug. More wires. Damn. Yowza. Okay, this may take me a while. Well, the lower one's the original cable, and the top one's the new cable, and I actually cut the old cable off here, leaving a short tag in each of those connections so I knew what colour wire went to it. So what I'm going to do is I go and compare this book with the previous book to find out what all the colour coding means, and then come cut these and solder extra length on the end of these, make it much more compatible. But yeah, also taking the push button switch off, bits fell out of it, so oh god, heaven knows if that's going to ever work again. But yeah, so fun, and I'm getting stinking hot, so I'm going to sit and rest for a while while reading the book. Okay, I've got this bit figured out. The new plug has got a lot more wires, but the ones I need are those, which I've cut off the original one. The colours match up, so I need red, black, purple, blue and yellow. So I shall go and join these to the end of that and make that more usable, and then I'll come back and see if I can reassemble this switch to get it to work. If I can't, well, I've got a different type of switch I can use. It's not a showstopper if this one doesn't work again. Here I am over at the shed at my soldering station, ready to go, except I'm already melting down. So time to go back again. I mightn't have melted down quite so quickly if I hadn't taken the time to replace this backing plate. The other one's actually a different shape, so I couldn't just change the bit that screws on top. Fortunately, all the holes still line up, so that was a big saving. But those screws are long screws and they're in very tight plastic fittings, so back to sit and rest for a while. Kubota told me the guys will be back on Monday to continue with the supplementary heating platform. Okay, having gone away and cooled down, I'm back again for another go. See how long I last before I overheat again. Okay, that's done. But I did overheat during that. I persisted though because I wanted to get it done. But this is where I've been sweating. So it's been raining sweat, so it's time to now go back to the house again. Okay, it was a battle, but we managed to get this thing mounted correctly. It was very, very difficult to get the screw in the bottom because it's hard up against the wall. Well, not quite, about 7-8 millimeters out from the wall, which means that the screwdriver wouldn't turn fully. And the thing, yeah. Anyway, it was a struggle. I got Kubota to help with that. So that bit's done. Now I can move on to the wiring inside here. So I have my wires through, so it's just a matter of connecting them up where they were before, like yellow goes to there. That wasn't good. Something just went down the back there, I think. Yep, bugger. That's awkward. Gonna have to move this cupboard out in order to get that back. We got that bit back. Now I'm just gonna reassemble it back into here. Yeah, well, the guts of this switch are disintegrated, so I've got to come up with an alternative. No, it's not hard. Well, that one can go in the recycle. Here's a different exit switch. I just got to find a box that I can attach that to that's going to cover the hole in the wall. That's the closest size box I've got, so I may have to do a bit of filler around the edges of it to cover up the bit that's spooled out of the wall. That should look okay. I'll just have to fill in a bit left and right sides of it perhaps with wall filler. That's okay. I'll take that back and see what I can do. I think there's promise of a thunderstorm. There's been a bit of thunder and presumably associated lightning. There's a few drops of rain. Not quite. That hole's got to go higher, that hole's got to go higher. So I'm going to screw it to the wall underneath the conduit that goes across. Well, that's all done and it's working. I've got Kubota and myself programmed in. Need the other three. They're normally programmed in to turn up and be programmed in sometime. I'll get a bit of filler and fill that at some stage. But that seems satisfactory. I won't plug this back into the UPS just yet, because if something goes wrong I can always flick off a breaker and disable this. That's what the UPS is to prevent, but I don't really want to prevent it just now. And come to that, I'm going to upload all these bits of video and upload them to the PC, do a bit of an edit, and then do an upload to YouTube. It's Friday after all.